Hey there, race fans! Welcome back to another electrifying episode of Track Talk, your one-stop shop for all things Formula One, where we break down the action in just minutes. Today, we're diving deep into the 2024 United States Grand Prix at the iconic Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. And what a race it was, from Ferrari dominance to penalties that shook the grid. It was a weekend full of surprises, so let's get into the action and unravel all the drama from Austin. Now, I don't know about you, but if you told me that Ferrari would take a 1-2 finish here, I might have raised an eyebrow. But they did, and what a statement they made. Charles Leclerc snatched the victory, followed closely by Carlos Sainz in second. This was one of Ferrari's best weekends all season, and they looked unstoppable. Let's rewind to the start of the race. Right off the line, Lando Norris was on pole with Verstappen breathing down his neck, but turn 1 delivered a surprise. Charles Leclerc's touting from third launched like a rocket, darting ahead of both Norris and Verstappen. Ferrari clearly had pace from the start, and Leclerc made sure to take full advantage of it. By turn 2, he was leading the pack, and Red Bull was left scrambling. Speaking of Red Bull, it wasn't their typical weekend of dominance. Verstappen, who's usually untouchable, had his hands full. He fought hard to keep pace with Ferraris, but the gap kept growing. To make matters worse, Verstappen found himself in a heated battle with Norris for third late in the race, and then came the twist. Lando Norris was handed a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Ouch! That changed everything. Verstappen managed to grab the final podium spot after the penalty was applied, but you could tell Red Bull wasn't in their comfort zone here in Austin. Let's not forget about the drama with Mercedes. This was a weekend they'll want to forget. Lewis Hamilton started from P17 and looked like he was mounting an epic comeback. He made it to P12 in just a few laps, but then disaster. On lap 3, he veered off into the gravel at turn 19, and that was game over for the 7-time world champion. The safety car came out, and Mercedes' hope where they were dashed. His teammate George Russell, however, had a decent recovery from the pit lane, clawing his way up to P6 by the end, still far from what Mercedes was hoping for this weekend. Now back to Ferrari. Their strategy was pure genius. Leclerc and Sainz were flawless, and their one-stop pit strategy worked to perfection. Red Bull struggled with some small issues on Verstappen's car, but those tiny margins made a big difference. Ferrari kept it clean, executed their plan, and stayed ahead when it mattered the most. And after 56 laps of intense racing, it was Leclerc who crossed the line first, securing a well-earned victory with Sainz close behind. Now let's talk about what went down in the closing stages of the race. The battle between Verstappen and Norris was big focus, but as I mentioned earlier, that penalty knocked Norris down, allowing Verstappen to seal third. It wasn't the cleanest race for Max, but he'll be glad to walk away with those points. Norris, though he had every reason to feel frustrated after what was shaping up to be another strong podium for McLaren. And what about Oscar Piastri? This young gun continues to impress, finishing on a solid 5th. Quietly, he's making a name for himself as F1's rising star, and Austin was no exception. He kept his nose clean, managed his tires well, and capitalized when it counted. Now, what does this result mean for the rest of the season? Well, Ferrari is definitely back in the mix. They've struggled earlier in the season, but this performance shows that they've got serious pace, and if they find a way to keep this form up, the Constructors' Championship could get interesting. As for Red Bull, Verstappen still holds a comfortable lead, but today was a reminder that they aren't invincible. The gap is closing, and Ferrari just gave them a real scare. And for McLaren, despite the penalty, Norris was quick and Piastri is consistently scoring points. This team is a dark horse for sure. We also have to talk about the home heroes. Haas, Nico Hülkenberg managed to finish inside the top 10, and for a team like Haas racing on home soil, that's a big result. They gave the Texan crowd something to cheer for, even if it wasn't a podium. So to wrap us all up, the 2024 United States Grand Prix was full of surprises. Ferrari took a commanding 1-2 finish. Red Bull had to settle for third, and Mercedes had a day to forget. It was a thrilling race with plenty of drama, and it had certainly shaken up the storylines as we head into the final leg of the season. What did you guys think of the race? Were you surprised by Ferrari's comeback? And what about Norris's penalty? Was it fair? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing what you all have to say. That's all for today's episode of Track Talk. Be sure to follow the channel for more F1 content as we head to Mexico next. If this race isn't anything to go by, it's going to be an epic finish to the 2024 season's final leg. Well, until then, keep your engines running and stay tuned for more Track Talk. I'm Margaret Rachel, and I'll see you next time.